Now has a child, last seen leaving a Wisconsin Dells resort almost 8 years ago, finally been located some 500 miles away. We'll have the latest on the Timothy Pitson case. And a local election reveals how much every vote truly does count. An unbelievable tally in McFarland just ahead.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. In January, it was Jamie Kloss who escaped her abductor after 3 months. Tonight, could a boy, then 6, now 14, last seen at Wisconsin Dells almost 8 years ago, have run from his captors near Cincinnati? Jamie Perez joins us in studio with what we know about the Timothy Pitson case so far. Jamie?
Police say a 14-year-old boy was found wandering around Newport, Kentucky. He claims to be Timothy Pitson from Aurora, Illinois, and says he escaped from Ohio where 2 kidnappers were keeping him. Police are now trying to identify this boy and see if he is the same Timothy Pitson who went missing in 2011. Pitson was 6 years old when he disappeared. Police say his mother took him out of school, claiming a family emergency, but instead took him on a trip to the Brookfield Zoo and eventually to the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin Dells. That's where they were last seen together on surveillance video. Pitson's dad had reported them missing the day before, and 2 days later, Pitson's mother was found dead from suicide in a Rockford hotel, and Pitson was gone. A note was left behind saying that Pitson was safe with someone who loved him and that he would never be found. Witnesses who saw him wandering around say he looked out of place and they knew something was wrong.
Looked like he had been beat up, yes, punched in the face a couple of times. You could see the fear on him and how nervous he was and how he kept pacing, and he just looked odd.
Police say a DNA test will take about 24 hours. In the meantime, the boy is being checked out at the hospital. Multiple law enforcement agencies are working on this case, but the FBI is not offering any additional information tonight.
All right, an unbelievable story. We'll keep an eye on, see how it develops. Jamie Perez. Jamie, thank you. Now, looking out over the city of Madison tonight, a few rain showers possible overnight with a low near the freezing mark, but it will warm up in time for the weekend. Gary Canalti joins us now. Our first alert forecast. Gary?
Eric, we are looking for some rain showers tonight. Fortunately, I think the temperatures will stay far enough above freezing that we shouldn't see any snow stick to the ground. Let's start out by taking a look at Doppler tracking. You can see precipitation to our south and west still really hasn't reached Wisconsin, and all of it so far in the form of rain, at least across Iowa. But the initial batch of showers will be getting close to the Mississippi River over the next couple of hours. Now, low temperatures this morning were certainly below freezing in the upper 20s here in Madison and much of the areas to the north and east. Temperatures were around freezing to our south. But look at the high temperatures today. They soared into the mid to upper 50s over all of southern Wisconsin, thanks to the bright sunshine. Here in Madison, we topped out at 57. We're still at 46 degrees now, although it is turning a little cooler to our north and to our west. So some of that cold air might allow some flakes of snow to mix in with the rain showers late tonight into tomorrow morning, north and west of Madison. Otherwise, those temperatures generally falling to about 35 by early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, we'll see off and on rain showers, and it'll be windy and cooler with a high temperature of 47. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. A very close election, and McFarland is teaching a lesson again in the democratic process. Amy Reed joins us in studio to explain how. Amy?
Right, it's the election day cliche. Every vote counts. But of course, it's a cliche for a reason, and those in McFarland are finding out why firsthand.
The day after an election, news spreads fast.
You know, it's a lesson learned for me, for sure.
Last night in McFarland, every vote.
The results certainly got interesting.
Certainly did count.
I don't think we tend to see it this divided, but we see people active, and sometimes that results in a really close race.
The race was for village president. By the looks of the neighborhoods, it seemed Carolyn Clow had a real chance to unseat incumbent Brad Zaboter. I guess she did.
I knew it was going to be a very close election. Who could anticipate it would be that close when close to 2,400 votes were cast and the difference is 1?
That's right, 1. The edge given to Zaboter.
You hear people indicate that voting really doesn't matter, but in McFarland it seems to.
Just ask Josh Dawson, one of the 55% of people who didn't. Now he can use this as a teaching moment for him and his daughter.
Yeah, now I can. I'll be like, look, I'm on the news. I'm the one that didn't vote.
This unusual situation doesn't feel so odd to the people close to it, considering what happened here 7 years ago.
The village trustee race was a dead tie, and that led to a recount. And then one candidate pulled 1 vote during the recount and won by 1. So I think it's normally a fairly uncommon thing, but you know, the village of McFarland has seen it a couple times in the last 10 years, interestingly enough.
Each time there is no automatic recount, meaning Zaboter really can be the winner.
It's nice to be on top, at least for the moment.
Clow has until Friday to request the village count the votes again. But regardless of any potential flip,
Every vote counts.
or whether you did or didn't vote,
The fact that, get out of your own head and actually, remember that every vote does matter.
the lesson stands.
Every single person who came out yesterday, their vote counted, and it showed in the results. And I think that's an awesome reminder for all of us.
We just learned this a few moments ago, but Clow has requested a recount, and that is scheduled for Friday, and we'll keep you posted on those results.
Yeah, it proves every once in a while. It pops up like that. Amy, thank you so much. We're also learning more about Madison's new mayor-elect and how she will approach the transition. In an interview with News 3 Now, Satya Rhodes-Conway says her first steps include getting a team together that'll include a deputy mayor along with city committee members.
So of your campaign promises, what can you put them in priority? What do you have something that you're really going to push forward right away? That mass transit or climate?
We talked a lot about affordable housing and transit, and we talked about racial equity and climate change. And one of the nice things about those 4 priorities is that they are all interrelated. So we are going to have to tackle them all together, and stay tuned for more specifics on what we hope to do in the first 100 days.
Rhodes-Conway says she met with outgoing Mayor Paul Soglin earlier today, and they discussed making the transition to office a smooth one. She will officially take over as Madison mayor April 16th. Madison Police Chief Mike Koval speaking publicly about the mayoral race today. He did not endorse a candidate in this race. The chief tells News 3 Now he hopes Rhodes-Conway looks at the data and finds a way to make space in the budget for more officers. Rhodes-Conway says she wants to add more addiction and mental health services rather than officers to the city.
I don't think that we're at a point, given the growth of Madison and the big city trends that we're seeing, that we can necessarily sleep on the fact that we'll still need staffing for traditional calls for service.
A staff team meeting.
When asked about the topic of officers inside schools, Rhodes-Conway said that is up to the school board. In December, the board renewed its contract with the city to keep officers in the 4 main public high schools. It's unclear tonight whether the narrow state Supreme Court race will end in a recount. Judge Brian Hagedorn declared victory, but Judge Lisa Neubauer has not conceded and isn't saying whether she will. Hagedorn called his 6,000 vote lead, quote, insurmountable, and said it doesn't make sense to have a recount. Neubauer posted a video on Facebook today about the race, but did not say whether she would request a recount. She's calling for volunteers and donations to her campaign to help make sure the election results are accurate.
So now, the morning after the election, this race is still too close to call. We need to make sure that every last vote is counted, and that's going to take a little time.
Yes, if a recount happens, absolutely. We'll be prepared financially, we'll be prepared legally to do that, and we'll already be making all the preparations necessary for that. I'm hoping that won't be necessary.
County clerks will be starting the official canvass to confirm the results over the next few days. If the current margin with a 6,000 vote lead for Hagedorn stays the same, Neubauer's campaign would have to pay for any recount. It was a worst-case scenario for clerks in a Greene County town when they ran out of ballots on Election Day. It happened in Exeter when the town of 2,000 people just east of New Glarus waited for new ones. They used photocopied provisional versions of the official ballots. State Elections Commission says that is actually official procedure. Exeter among 8 Greene County towns that needed to print more ballots. However, Exeter happened to be the only one that ran out. In Milton, the school district eager to move forward with renovations after passing a nearly $60 million referendum yesterday. This was the district's 3rd attempt. It passed with 53% of the vote. In the weeks leading to the election, some residents voiced concerns about the ethics of school district leaders after it was revealed several took money in the form of a stipend. Superintendent Tim Shiger says it's time to look forward.
There have been other distractions out there, absolutely. But we've kept them in their proper perspective. And through this process, I'm hoping that people will, in the community, will come together and see this as a wonderful opportunity to make the investment that the community has asked us to make into the school system.
That referendum money will pay for renovations at each of the district's 6 buildings. News 3 Now will continue to have team coverage of these races and reaction from those impacted. Again, for all of the election results, head to our website, channel3000.com. New tonight, House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Richard Neal has formally requested President Trump's tax returns, likely to launch a battle with the administration. The chairman is asking for 6 years of personal returns, 2013 through 2018. He also requested the tax returns for 8 of the president's business entities. Chairman Neal has given the IRS until April 10th to comply with his request. The Florida man who sent mail bombs to Democrats and CNN offices says he never meant to hurt anyone. 57-year-old Cesar Sayoc wrote a letter to the judge overseeing his case. He said the devices he sent could not detonate and were only intended to frighten people. Sayoc pleaded guilty to 65 felony charges, including using weapons of mass destruction. He mailed 16 devices to a variety of officials, primarily prominent Democrats, major Democratic donors, and to CNN offices in both New York and Atlanta. None of the devices exploded. No one was injured. The preliminary report for the doomed Ethiopia Airlines Flight 302 will be released tomorrow morning. That flight crashed March 10th, killing all 157 people on board. The plane involved the Boeing 737 MAX 8, an aircraft now grounded in most countries, including the United States. Hollywood stars Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin appeared in federal court in Boston today, along with other parents. They face felony charges in the college bribery scandal that raised new questions about wealth and privilege in higher education. They are accused of paying a college admissions consultant to fraudulently get their kids into elite schools. Prosecutors say desperate housewife star Huffman paid $15,000 to doctor her daughter's SAT score. Loughlin, who acted in Full House, and her clothing designer husband allegedly conspired with the scandal's mastermind to pay $500,000 in bribes. Neither actress entered a plea. In all, 33 parents were charged. New at 10, Husky Energy in Superior says it will invest more than $400 million to rebuild its oil refinery after an explosion last April. They say they will also continue to use a highly toxic chemical in their refinery process. And blast injured 36 people and required the evacuation of much of the city, due in large part to the presence of hydrogen fluoride, which can be hazardous to human health. Today, the company says it explored using alternative chemicals, but says hydrogen fluoride is fundamental to making gasoline. Coming up after the break, Gary will have our full forecast, but first, the FDA issuing a new warning about a potential side effect from e-cigarettes. We'll be right back. The Food and Drug Administration says it is investigating reports of people suffering seizures after using e-cigarettes. The FDA sent a public notice today saying it has identified 35 cases of seizures after vaping between 2010 and early this year. Most of the seizures involved young people. The FDA says seizures are a known possible side effect of nicotine poisoning, but emphasized that it has not determined a definitive link between seizures and vaping. 3 more cases of the mumps were reported at Indiana University. The Big Ten school now has 6 total cases just this year. Beth Rupp is the director of the campus health center there. She says the university had outbreaks in both 2016 and 2017, a once rare alert, now more common.
We don't really know why the increase. We think it could be from the fact that overall the herd immunity is down from some people that have chosen not to vaccinate.
Even those who are vaccinated can unknowingly carry the virus. In fact, the majority of students with the virus at the university were vaccinated. IU requires the MMR vaccine for all students. That vaccine is about 90% effective. In consumer news, IKEA trying out a new way to make money: furniture rental. The world's biggest furniture company rolled out the new service today after testing it in Switzerland in February. That service initially offered to business customers to temporarily rent higher cost products. And Verizon is kicking off a plan for kids. The wireless carrier says its mobile add-on phone plan called Just Kids will launch tomorrow. It's part of Verizon's Mix and Match plan. The add-on feature allows parents to set screen time limits and control what kids can watch. Parents can even turn off Wi-Fi. The plan allows unlimited talk and text for 20 contacts who are pre-approved by mom and dad. Well, did you get a chance to get out and move a little bit today? It is National Walking Day. Americans need more physical activity, of course. Walking can help maintain a healthy weight and prevent health issues that can come with a sedentary lifestyle. National Walking Day is celebrated the first Wednesday in April. The Surgeon General recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity each week for adults and at least 1 hour a day for kids and teens. Not a bad day to get out there for a walk today, although tomorrow might be a little cooler, right?
Yeah, tomorrow will be cooler just because of some rain showers, but at least we're not dealing with severe weather.
Right.
Remember what happened on this day 45 years ago? You won't.
I don't. I'm sure
But,
you do.
Yeah, this is one of the worst tornado outbreaks ever in our country. This map actually was drawn by Dr. Ted Fujita, the professor who came up with the Fujita tornado rating scale. On this date, back in 1974, an outbreak of tornadoes from near the Chicago area, eastward into New York, as far south as Birmingham, Alabama, and even into parts of Canada. This outbreak, 148 tornadoes in just 24 hours, killed 315 people, injured almost 5,500 people. Property damage, $843 million in 1984, will be the equivalent of $4.58 billion today. And if you added up the path lengths of all of these tornadoes, you'd come up with a path length of 2,600 miles of damage. Just an incredible outbreak. So it reminds you that it's severe weather season, and keep this date in mind. April 13th, a week from Saturday, our Dark Skies Severe Weather Seminar with the Midwest Storm Tracking Response Center group. We're going to have the Director of the National Weather Service, Dr. Louis Uccellini, as well as some planning scenarios to help you put together a severe weather safety plan with our audience, and then also some severe weather safety talks with people from the National Weather Service and the UW. Tonight, just a few sprinkles of rain approaching southwestern Wisconsin, and what precipitation there is in the form of light rain showers back across Iowa. The live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, just cloudy here, but the rain still a ways off. Probably won't reach us until later on tonight. High today, a mild 57, low temperature at 28. Right now, our temperature is still fairly mild at 46 with mostly cloudy skies. The air is calm, and the humidity only at 51%. Those showers are really having a hard time trying to get into the dry air across southern Wisconsin. High temperatures were in the 50s across much of southern Wisconsin, back into eastern Iowa and northern Illinois. But you can see to our south and west, those temperatures have dropped off into the lower 40s, and the 30s are not far to our north and west. So areas north and west of Madison could see some flakes of snow mixing with the rain late tonight into tomorrow morning. Nothing that should stick to the ground. The storm system is going to take a mainly southerly path because the jet stream is moving farther to the south. So some severe thunderstorms that are moving through parts of Texas and Oklahoma will move eastward. These showers, again, moving more to the east, the northern edge kind of getting cut off by the drier air. And you can see a warm front just to our south and west, also triggering those showers. To our south and west, though, temperatures still into the 60s over southern Kansas, while to the north they're already in the 20s up near the U.S.-Canadian border. So our forecast for tonight calls for skies to be mostly cloudy. Showers will develop, and we could see a few flakes of snow north and west of Madison late. Low temperature 35. Tomorrow will be a windy and cooler day with a high of 47, and we'll see some off and on showers. Future track, here comes the rain later on tonight. Again, there could be a little snow mixed in on the northern part of it. Off and on showers through the day tomorrow. Those will probably end tomorrow night. And then on Friday, as we turn partly sunny, temperatures will be back to around 60 degrees. Rainfall amounts very light, generally around 1/10 of an inch, maybe up to 1/4 of an inch down toward the Illinois state line. But the 7 to 10 day forecast, 67 for high both Saturday and Sunday. Sunday there could be a couple of thunderstorms. A little cooler for next week. High temperatures mainly in the upper 40s to the lower 50s. But for the most part, the rain chances pretty slim. Not much in the way of rain expected.
I do like that little warm up though for the weekend. That's getting us into that spring mode. Gary, thank you. Another day, another win for the Milwaukee Brewers. This story on the final game of the series in Cincinnati just ahead.
The first week of the baseball season went about as well as the Brewers could have hoped. They won 6 of 7 games, including a 3-game sweep in Cincinnati. An early start for the Reds and Brewers this afternoon. It was tough to score a run. In the second, the Brewers scored what proved to be the only run anybody scored all day. Manny Pena, with a spot start, comes through with an RBI single to score Jesus Aguilar. Now, you'd think there's always going to be a lot of runs scored at Great American Ballpark, but not today with Freddie Peralta pitching. He goes a career-high 8 innings, allowing just 2 hits, struck out 11. The save goes to Alex Wilson as Josh Hader gets the day off. Final score, Brewers 1, Reds nothing. So the Brewers are 6-1 to start the season, sweeping the 3-game series in Cincinnati. A day off tomorrow before playing at Miller Park again Friday night when the Chicago Cubs make their first stop in Milwaukee this season. Speaking of the Cubs, they're at Atlanta again tonight. Rough start as Jason Hayward flat out misses the ball in center field in the first inning. Cubs were leading 4-2 bottom of the 8th, but Randy Rosario gives up a bases-loaded, bases-clearing double to Johan Camargo. Final score, Braves 6, Cubs 4. The Cubs are 1-4. Mike McCarthy says he was stunned when Packers president Mark Murphy pulled him aside after the Packers lost to Arizona last December and fired the head coach. McCarthy told Rob Demoski of ESPN.com the way the Packers let him go couldn't have been handled worse. McCarthy says he didn't see it coming, and to do it losing a close game, probably, well, probably should have won, was the wrong time to do it. But Murphy did it, and McCarthy was out after 13 seasons. As far as his relationship with Aaron Rodgers, McCarthy says anytime you work closely with someone for 13 years, there's going to be some rough times. But McCarthy says he had a lot of fun coaching Rodgers, and he also says his greatest accomplishments as Packers coach were with Aaron Rodgers. And McCarthy, at age 55 now, hopes he'll be a head coach in the NFL again next season. College basketball, former Marquette head coach Buzz Williams is leaving Virginia Tech to go home and become the head coach at Texas A&M, where he was an assistant from 2004 to 2006. Some would suggest that might open the door for current Marquette coach Steve Wojciechowski to perhaps go to Virginia Tech, but right now, that's just interesting speculation. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a star, and that star is rising. Giannis will be on the cover of Sports Illustrated next week with a picture of him dunking on the San Antonio Spurs. It's the second time Giannis has been on the SI cover. But what makes this one special? It's his teammate, Chris Middleton, who has quite an expression on his face watching Giannis dunk.
He walked in and he said, thank you for putting me the Sports Illustrated cover. I was like, what are you talking about? And then he said, you're on the cover. And I was like, okay, good to know. I didn't know that. I just, woke up, got my stuff, came to practice. And he was happy that he was in the background. And I was like, yeah, I got you, bro. Like, that's what. You planned that. Yeah, I definitely planned that.
Well, the Bucks haven't quite clinched the #1 seed in the East yet. The Toronto Raptors won in Brooklyn tonight, 115-105. So the Bucks' magic number for getting home court advantage in the Eastern Conference playoffs still 1. Milwaukee plays at Philadelphia tomorrow night. And we'll be right back.
Some showers approaching southwestern Wisconsin. We'll see those later on tonight. We're still in the 40s, so maybe a couple of flakes mixed in north and west of Madison. A mild weekend and then a little cooler for next week.
Gary, thank you. And thank you for joining us for News 3 Now at 10. Have a good night.